Let's go ahead and start a talk today on soul fuel. And I'm looking over here and I don't see Tay. So, Chad, can you start us off today on this conversation about soul food? Soul food. I love soul food too. But Bear Grylls' concept of soul fuel.
Man, first of all, I hear him and I just want to talk. I'm not very good at that, but okay, so we won't do that. But how amazing is Bear Grylls? I mean, I knew him from, I've seen a few of well, maybe half of Man vs. Wild and some of that crazy stuff. But the way he unpacked this today, like this is something that I think every human needs to really grasp and understand because he just in basically 25 minutes, he gave us all the keys to be successful at anything in life that we'll ever face. And he broke it down into four simple things. And so, the first one is failures. And I don't know why, but I think in our culture, since we're taught conformity, we're taught to avoid failure, hide from failure. And what that leads to is conformity. And what it leads to is us defaulting into trying to take the easy road, the easy path, instead of the path less traveled. And so I heard one time that failure is the fertilizer of success, meaning that you have to have it. You have to have, if you're a farmer, you have to have fertilizer. And so failure being the fertilizer of success. And what he said was failure builds resilience, which resilience is also necessary for success, and that there's no shortcuts to goals. So I love the fact that not only, because when we think of failure in one sense, we think, I'll make a little mistake or whatever, but what he shared was actually going through selection in the special forces for months, and then about 6 months in, failing out. So what that means in the military world is you go back to day one. So, and it's voluntary. So, it takes a special kind of person to go through that kind of process, fail out, and say, you know what, it was on me. I'm going to go back through, and this time I'm going to make it through. And out of 90 people to be one of the 4 left standing the second go around. And then the fact that he shared that 3 out of the 4 had failed out before. So how many people are trying to accomplish something, trying to do something, and it doesn't turn out the way they thought? And so they just chalk it up to, I'm not meant for this, or it's not the way I'm supposed to go, instead of continuing to try and just being like, I'm going to go until I figure it out. So that was the first thing he shared. And then fear, and I think a lot of people take fear and they go, okay, I'm scared of this, therefore I shouldn't have anything to do with that. And what I've learned, and I think what every successful person that I know has learned, is that you have to stare fear in the face, and you have to actually face your fears, and you have to conquer your fears. I love I don't remember the word for word the verse, but I know it's 2 Timothy 1:7. And basically what it says is that fear, it doesn't come from God. Fear is a tool that the enemy uses. And so understanding that, we have to face our, now some things, like you should be a little scared of jumping in the water with, 50 starving great white sharks. Okay. So I'm not trying to be, you should be scared of jumping out of a 4th story building and worrying you might break your legs. Those are some common sense things. But as far as things like, speaking to strangers and just different types of fears that we might have, we can overcome those. I remember I was scared to death of heights. So when I was in the military, I decided to go to air assault school and jump out of helicopters. And I went to airborne school and jump out of airplanes. And basically what I learned is that everybody's scared of heights because we're supposed to be. And I was able to overcome those fears, and it wasn't as scary. It's still scary. I jumped out of airplanes 42 times. And even on the 42nd time, I was still like, why am I doing this? This isn't normal. But it became less and less scary, and it wasn't fear. So he says, use fear to drive you forward. I love that, because that's a different mentality than use fear to paralyze me. Use fear to drive me forward. And it's kind of, so for me, it's become like a trigger that I'm scared of this, therefore I must face this. And so I think that was then he talks about the fire. Man, I love this guy. Every human being I know needs to hear what we just heard. So he talks about the fire and that little spark that says just go that extra mile, go a little further. give more when most people give out. And I think that's the key, is just doing a little more than we feel like is possible to do. I know I watched this video one time. The Navy SEAL guy said, when our body tells us we're done, we're only at 40% capacity. Like our body says we're at 100%, but we're really truly at 40%. And I think it's that same way, not just with our body, but with our mind. Our mind says, I should quit. We're not even 40% of our potential. So if we just keep, and like he was sharing, there's always that battle in our voice: quit, 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 keep going, keep going, keep going. And we have to feed the one that says keep going. Feed that one, and starve the scared voice. Just go a little further. He was hearing that climbing Everest, you don't belong here, give up. But there's that small fire, that small ember. And like he said, fire as in nature is all powerful. So we have to learn how to keep the fire, get the fire going in us. And that's on us. It's not on another human to keep us fired up and keep us lit up. I mean, what if they don't come along today and turn you on? You got to turn yourself on and figure out where your own beast mode switch is. And then the last thing he talked about was just the faith. And I love the faith piece. It says that I'm known, I'm loved, and I'm forgiven. And he said Christian faith is like the backbone. I heard this quote one time. It said, when a brave man takes a stand, the spines of other men stiffen. And man, that's just like, rah! You know what I mean? I'm all fired. I want to go like camping or something right now. Go climb a mountain. But so Bear Grylls, just to kind of sum all this up, he's incredible, and we all just need to embrace. I think we embrace our failures, embrace our fears, understand that we can light a fire in us that's going to keep us up late at night, wake us up early in the morning, and then just to have a strong, solid faith, which we build everything else on, and we can live life at a very, very amazing high level. So Joel, thanks for bringing this into my life today. I'm going to be sharing this one with hundreds of people and shouting it from the rooftops. And I'm going to see how I can go hang out with Bear Grylls, because he's an awesome dude.
So good. Yeah. So the 4 F's are super, super powerful. And obviously the first one he talked about was failures. And I know about this firsthand. I've even done a whole podcast on it. Go listen to Failing Forward. It's pretty important. But one of the things that I took from that I love how he worded it was, how you react to failure determines everything, because life doesn't always reward the brilliant or the talented. It rewards the persistent and the determined. So it's not always the person that has all the skill, all the talents, all the connections. It's the person that has the most hustle, the most grit, the one that's going to keep getting up when they get knocked down. Number 2, he was talking about fear. And I love this statement. Fear is a universal law, and you will be tested. You can't get away from it. So you have 2 choices. You can either run from it or run toward it. And the only way to make the fear go away, the only answer to fear, is to move towards it and take action. And the longer that you don't do that, the more you feed the fear. I love the, I guess it's the old Native American story of the tale of the 2 wolves. And the young kid came to the chief and said, I have 2 wolves inside of me. One that is afraid to do something, and one that is dominant and angering. And he said, which one of those 2 in a fight would win? And the chief said, whichever one you feed the most is the one that will win. So you have to take a look at what it is you're feeding and see if that's it. Are you sitting down and looking at things and feeding your fears, or are you looking at things with an abundant mindset and fueling the focus of abundance and the things that could happen and the opportunities that will show up and the amazing things that God will do in your life? The next part was fire. As many of you know, I love fire. Got a flamethrower to prove it. But I love how he talks about all it takes is an ember. You don't need a full fire. Now, full fire is amazing. Full fire is what creates momentum. So obviously, the more that you can be on fire, the better. But we know that that fire gets stamped out all the time by people, by life, by situations, by things that happen to you. But as long as there is a little bit of ember there, it will keep you going. So hold on to that ember and keep going. And then there's going to be a moment when it catches fire again. Love the statement of, what are you really made of? You know, the difference between ordinary and extraordinary is a little bit extra. Just do the little extra. It's simple, but it's not always easy to keep going. I can tell you this time and time again. I have seen people quit way too early. Don't quit way too early. In fact, don't even quit. Keep going. That's where NGU comes in. Never give up. You know, persistence requires digging deep and finding the fire that burns inside all of us. The moment that you tap into that, there is no limits to what you will be successful in, because of the fact, goes back to that conversation that I say about wanting you all to be millionaires, not because of the $1 million and the amazing things that I know your good heart would do with it, but because of the person that you had to become, the fire that had to consume you to get to that level. Because once you've experienced that fire, you can go take it somewhere else and do it again if everything fell apart. Another thing I wanted to talk about, which is a word that we don't hear a lot of, resilience. Guys, it is not a matter of if, it's a matter of when you will get knocked down. The Bible talks about the righteous get knocked down 7, but gets up 8. The wicked stay down in their mire, in their muck, in their mud. They don't get back up. Resilience is a biblical statement of, you need to keep getting back up, because like he said, when the truck went away, there's a couple people that just gave up, not knowing that if they just took a couple more steps, the truck would turn around and get them. You know, that's exactly how this whole thing works. That moment that you think you need to give up, that moment that you think you're going to quit, just take a couple more steps and watch God show up and do amazing things, which leads us to the 4th F, which is faith. I love this statement. Faith is the quiet, personal, and secret strength, and I'll add this, of the successful people. Because if you look at the thing that separates most people, you look at it and you don't understand what it is. But then you hear people talk about how they leaned on their faith, how they leaned on God, how they did this and didn't expect things to happen. You know, that small, quiet strength inside allows people to go through. You know, when we talk about our story about standing in food lines and losing everything, we knew it wasn't the end. We had that small, quiet strength inside of us that was pulling us through to the next opportunity. And like Chad said, you know, I'm known, I'm loved, and I'm forgiven. And that's so important. I love the whole concept of religion versus faith, because faith is a completely different beast than religion. You know, religion is something that man made in order to basically create the way he feels about something and to control something, where faith is more of a relationship. And he said, you know, even when Jesus walked the earth, he loved everybody. He hung out with everybody. But the person that he rebuked and he corrected the most were the religious leaders, because they were all about rules and things that you have to do, as opposed to just having a straight relationship with God. Dreams will require failure first. You know, fear will be the journeyman along the way with you. The fire within you will allow you to persevere along the way. And that faith that you have in God will hold you on the moments where you think about giving up. Finally, I'm going to leave you with these 3 amazing points. Don't be an idiot. Be kind. And the real wealth is found in the relationships that you have with others, with your friends, with your families. Guys, go out, tackle your day, face your fears, go out and fail, light your fire, and keep the faith because you can do it. Thanks for joining us today, guys. We'll see you again next time.